700.
Let's go.
Good evening, this is Paul Cooney with Barry Ferguson and Mark Guidi. 0808 17 17 700. After a weekend where no change at the top of the Scottish Premier League as the race is on for the title 2025-26. 5 wins in a row for Rangers under Rohl. Martin Neil's back, and it looks as though the festive madness at Celtic has gone. It was back to business as usual. 4-0 at the weekend. And Hearts, maybe grinding out a win, but what a win for them, and what a save from Craig Gordon. Has he booked his place on the Scotland flight to America for the World Cup? What do you think? 0808 17 17 700. And Motherwell fans sold out their allocation at Hibs at the weekend, a 1-1 draw. Kilmarnock getting a draw as well under Billy Dodds in there alongside the new boss Neil McCann. And St Mirren, a worry for the Saints, haven't won a game since the League Cup win, the Premier Sports Cup, lifting it just, a month ago. What a night. Mark, you were there on Saturday afternoon. This time last week, Wilfred Nancy had just gone. Martin O'Neill came in and, has he worked his magic at the weekend against United?
Yeah, it was a convincing victory for Celtic. Paul, 4 goals to the good. Some of the players looking back to their old selves, back to a back four. Yet another clean sheet after the disastrous spell of Wilfred Nancy. So it was just all about winning, Paul. And now, once again, the spotlight is on the hierarchy to go and try and get a player or two in the door this week. Anyone
in yet at Celtic? The answer was no this morning. Anything this afternoon?
I've been linked with Kieran Bowie again, Paul. In terms of the substance of that, I really don't know. We've spoken about him in the show a number of times. He's a really good player. I think he's a great prospect. I think he's got great potential. But if you're talking ballpark £5 to £6 million just now, for that kind of money, I would imagine Celtic would be looking for somebody with a bit more experience, ready to go and do the business from the first whistle.
Barry, what a week for your old club Rangers. This time last week you said, but they have to do it against Aberdeen in this double header. They've done it and they've made some signings.
Yeah, they have. In terms of the game yesterday, look, the weather conditions weren't ideal, but listen, they showed a different side to them yesterday, and this is something that's been put to them. They've been questioned about it, but I thought their attitude was spot on. I thought throughout the game they were pretty comfortable, Paul, if I'm being honest with you. Got the goal in the first half. They got a goal that was disallowed. I'm unsure about it when I watched it a few times, but anyway, it got disallowed. And then I thought the second half they kind of controlled it. They got the penalty to have made it 2-0, and they seen the game out. So yep, a very good Sunday afternoon for Rangers. That was the most important thing, that they got the 3 points and they're maintaining this form of recent weeks.
And a new chief executive coming in at Rangers, the St Mirren boss, Jim Gillespie.
Yep, I thought it maybe have took a bit longer, but they've made the decision. Jim Gillespie, who's been at St Mirren for a few years now, he's been part of the success. I know that he is a Rangers supporter, so be interesting to see how he does. I hope he does really well. I don't think he's starting for another couple of months. I think he has to see his time out at St Mirren. But Rangers are starting to get, it's not just business on the pitch, but off the pitch as well, which is really important.
Chukwani, of course, is in. And more signings today, tomorrow, Barry?
Yeah, I would expect another 2 or 3 over the coming weeks. Chukwani is definitely a physical presence, something that I think Rangers certainly need domestically. I watched them a few times. Obviously they come up against them Sturm Graz. He played against Rangers, also played against Celtic. He gets sent off against Celtic, but £3.5 million, he's the type of profile that I think Rangers are needing. He plays in the number 6 position, but also he can play further forward. So that's important, that it's not just one position. He can play in various positions within the midfield area. So, yep, Rangers are certainly getting their business done pretty early.
Motherwell fans, you'll not be happy. One of the successes this season, Mark, is Stephen Welsh on loan from Celtic. He's been recalled.
Yeah, that will be a blow, as you say, Paul, for Motherwell. Stephen Welsh has been an integral part of everything that's been good this season, and you just wonder if Celtic sign a central defender. I know they're certainly in the market to go and try and do that before the end of the window, if that would allow Stephen Welsh to maybe, if Motherwell want to make it permanent or Stephen Welsh wants to go somewhere else. But it's It's a blow for Motherwell, but right now it's the right decision for Celtic.
Barry, what do you make of Kieran Bowie? If he's a Celtic target, do you think that would be he would flourish at Celtic?
Well, not just Celtic. He's obviously been linked with a number of clubs. Listen, I really like him. 22 years of age. I still think there's a bit of growing in him in terms of his football. But he's certainly shown that he's got the attributes, in my opinion, and I'm not being disrespectful to Hibs, but who could play certainly at a higher level. So I can see why Celtic are interested. Rangers have been mentioned as well. There's been various clubs down south. So I think need to keep our eye in that one. And a possibility that he could leave Hibs, certainly, in this transfer window, if they get the right money, that is.
He scored, of course, at the weekend. Quite a few Celtic fans saying, right, what is happening? They're listening in, they're watching us on YouTube as well. When are Celtic going to make some signings? Martin O'Neill is in town, 4-0 against Dundee United at the weekend, and he praised not just the result, but the performance.
We did play very well, and sometimes I leave that out when we're talking about winning the game. The winning, of course, was very, very important. The performance was really good. And again, it does give you a boost. But Wednesday night is a big test for us. You know, I thought that we were ready for the game. You know, from yesterday's training, things that you said, but you never really know until you play. And then Scalesy's made a really good challenge. That's just after we had scored as well too. So that could be an important moment. So what I'm saying to you is about if the confidence is kind of fragile, then that sort of thing can change again, and then it gives the opposition a big boost. But we rode that one out, and we saw it through.
Mark Yang he enjoyed the spell a few weeks ago under Martin O'Neill, and he's picked up where he left off. Yeah,
it was another terrific goal to break the deadlock. A nice strike, 18-19 yards. He followed up from his goal against Rangers the previous week. It was a fabulous goal. And I have to say, Paul, the improvement in Yang's game is down to Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill, really took a shine to Yang, encouraged him to go and be brave, one-on-one, use his pace. He's very strong as well. He's got good strength. And I see today there's been reports saying that that Yang's a target for various clubs down south and maybe across Europe. I'm not surprised at that, but he will not be sold. He will not be sold in this window.
Norwich wanted him during the summer. Ironically, it's Philippe Clement who's in charge there now, but Celtic couldn't possibly let him go. What about the reports today that the Lorient striker Mohamed Bamba, aged 24, 25, could be on his way to Celtic on loan, Mark, because they desperately need a striker?
Yeah, they're obviously looking at options. There was a bit of focus on Kyogo this time last week. That appears to be dead in the water. They'll be looking at several options. Bamba's one that's come to the surface in the past 24 hours. And listen, if it's better than what's currently in the building, then you just need to go and get things over the line, Paul. You really need to go and get deals done as quickly as possible.
Going to take some calls. 08 17 17 700. Billy's on, a Rangers fan, saying, Barry, what do you make of Andreas Olsen, Skov Olsen? Rangers interested in him. The Wolfsburg winger could be on his way.
Yeah, when I seen that break, was it last night or early this morning, I done a bit of research. Wolfsburg paid, I think, around about £12 million for him. He's a Danish international. He's got good experience, and I think he fits the profile that Rangers are certainly needing. He plays in the wide area, but he's a real goal threat. And just looking at, he came for Wolfsburg. If you think back 18 months ago, Rangers also done a deal with Wolfsburg.
Yeah, of course.
Bringing Chernier.
Yeah.
So, and we all know how that worked. That was a real success. So I think over the next number of days or weeks, you'll certainly see Rangers been busy, and Olsen certainly on the radar.
DJ Corks is tuned in. In fact, he's watching us on YouTube, saying, any views on the disallowed goal? So I take it he's speaking about, I think most people felt, let's hear what the manager said. He was asked about it. The goal that, it was given obviously on Sky. It looked as though it was 2-0 at that point, and then it was reviewed and it was chopped off. Here's the manager.
You can decide this. I think the arm was a little bit high up. This is then difficult for the goalkeeper. Of course, you wish always that it's a goal. But the reaction was great. I think there was not so much disappointment. We carry on, and this is a good part.
It's a goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a goal.
Yeah, I think so. I know the rules in terms of the arm being high, but I don't know how Fernandes can jump without his arm being there. I just think the goalkeeper has to be stronger. I think
Mitov misjudged it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And look, Fernandes is certainly a unit. There's no doubt about it. But I just felt, I felt it was a goal, in my honest opinion. I know the rules say it isn't a goal, but I don't think, obviously, listening to Danny Rohl there, I don't think he's too concerned because Rangers have won the game 2-0. But I think it was a different result. And I think it would be a different opinion. But watching it back, and I watched it 3 or 4 times, I think it's a goal.
Mark?
Well, I agree. And for me, it's not a clear and obvious error to overrule it. Now, I know, but by the letter of the law, they'll tell you that the goal should be disallowed, and I get that. But looking at it in live play and the fact that the referee's allowed it to stand, I wouldn't have overruled it. Mitov has made a hash of it. He's come too soon. He's had to stop, and he's tried to challenge from a standing jump. At no point does Fernandes target the goalkeeper. He doesn't go to take the goalkeeper out and then get the ball. He's always looking at the ball. And I would always say the goalkeepers, Paul, given the benefit of the doubt. But yesterday, I think that's a shocking decision. Absolutely shocking decision. That goal should have stood.
Gary's on, a Celtic fan in the Gorbals. Hi, Gary. Good evening.
Evening, guys. How we doing?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Barry's in good form. He's been watching a box set over the weekend. Rangers victory.
You're right. I like that. That's not bad for you.
Yeah, I'll tell you shortly.
Listen, see what I'm watching. It's certainly better than what you're watching.
What am I watching? Dad's Army.
No go there.
Steady. Gary. Listen, what about that? You're a big Celtic fan. Celtic and Newcastle United, we know. That should have been a goal. Fernandes?
Yeah. I think that's the thing, as the boys said. I think Mitov has to be more commanding in his area.
Yeah.
I don't think he looked commanding at all in the 90 minutes. Aberdeen were really poor and Rangers took advantage of it. And to be honest, I think if the goal had stood in the first half, I think Rangers probably would have went on and won even more comfortably, to be honest.
I see Steve Conroy.
It's just a wee bit too much of the referee in the game.
Yeah.
I think that's
what
we're getting.
Do you see online today that Steve Conroy, the former referee, got a podcast and he was saying, it should have stood. And I see the Celtic fans have shown a game, Barry, you probably played in. It was at Fortune for Celtic. He beat Alan McGregor, misjudged it. It went in, and Steve Conroy said, no goal. But he's on today.
I can't remember that.
I saw you in that. I think it was you I saw.
No,
today.
that was definitely that was the right. That was the correct decision.
Yeah. Anyway, Gary, what about your team at the weekend?
Yeah. Obviously, just before I wax lyrical about Martin O'Neill and Celtic, that save yesterday for Craig Gordon. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it about 100 times, but that's getting save of the season. I don't think you'll top that, to be honest. For the fact that he's 43, that he's not really played, he's not really had much game time, and as you say at the start of the show, he's got to be on the plane for Scotland.
Let's put that to a resident goalkeeping expert, Mark Guidi, former goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was a great save. I think it was only his third or fourth game of the season to come on, when he did, because of the red card. And you put all that into context, Paul, it's the last minute of the game, Hearts are winning 1-0. And he pulls off a save like that. I agree with Gary. I think it will be the save of the season. I'm not quite sure it's the best save I've ever seen, but certainly it's the best one so far this season, and I don't think it will be beaten. And if Hearts do go on to win the league, and with each passing week, Paul, I think they're going to do it. Derek McInnes will pick out 3 or 4 games that win you the title. Every manager kind of does it, and yesterday would be a game that he would say that was a moment that we genuinely believed that we were going to go on and win the league.
Craig Gordon on the plane for you, Mark, for America?
100%.
Yeah, Barry?
Yeah. Even if he only plays one more game, I would have him on the play.
Because he's shown the fact that he can not.
It shouldn't even be a question.
Sure. Well, he hasn't played, but look at
listen,
Sure.
I don't care. He's still our best goalkeeper.
Great. Gary, what about Celtic? What are you thinking then?
Yeah, just the difference in the players, the confidence in Saturday, the way we were playing, the way we approached the game. Some great goals. Probably easy. I don't mean easy goals, but the Yang one, especially for me, that's what I want to see Celtic do more of. When you get a bit of space outside the box, just put your laces through it and hit it towards goal. We don't do that enough. We're always looking for the last pass, looking for the last wee ball to thread through, rather than just wrap our foot around it. And and have a go. And as I say, Yang's been in great form recently. Hopefully he continues that. But it's just the difference, as I say, in the approach to the game and the way the players are playing. They're back with a smile on their face. And I noticed something at the end of the game as well. Mark Fotheringham in the tunnel, high-fiving the players, giving them a cuddle, arm round them. That's what it's all about. That's what Martin O'Neill brings and Sean Maloney brings, that maybe Wilfred Nancy didn't bring, kind of thing. It seems to be a wee bit more warmth, a wee bit more family feel about it, kind of thing.
Do you think they're training with intensity? Is that what Mark
Yeah, definitely.
looks at?
He's just getting high fives because he's got a win bonus, probably.
Well, he must have thought, what happened for that? I mean, it will be the month of madness when, if you don't win the title, then people have to be held to account. I mean, it was madness to bring somebody in from the MLS. Nobody knew anything about him. You may well rue it, Gary, you and thousands of other Celtic fans saying, who thought that was a good idea?
I think, to be honest, when you look at it, as Gordon Strachan says in a podcast at some point recently, that there's no easy time for a manager to come in. But at the end of the day, you're always going to take a risk, unless it's a known name to the Scottish game or a former Celtic manager like a Brendan Rodgers or an Ange Postecoglou. You're always going to be taking a chance. And it's just, I think it's going to play on the Celtic fans' minds in the next few weeks that had we stuck with Martin O'Neill, and I'm not saying we would have won those 6 games that we lost, but we would have probably been a lot more comfortable, playing a lot better football. Obviously, the formation change on Saturday, you saw it took a wee while to get going. Once it did, it clicked into place and we were buzzing. So, as I say, we potentially could be sitting top of the pile if we'd kept hold of Martin O'Neill, but as I say, it's one of those things. We just need to carry on. It's going to be a mental final half to the season, and potentially, as I say to one of my mates, if Hearts beat us at Tynecastle, and I think it's next week, I think if Hearts beat us at Tynecastle and don't go on to win the league, I'd be amazed. I would be absolutely amazed.
Mark, Burns night, that's going to be that game. There's obviously cup action before then, but it's a crucial couple of weeks for all of them, especially for Celtic now under Martin O'Neill coming in. This is their chance to get back in it.
Yeah, as Gary highlighted, there's Hearts, Celtic towards the end of the month. But before that, Paul, they go to Falkirk on Wednesday night, which will be a tough game. And I'm not saying that cliches and all that, but any game away from home is tough. There's no doubt about that. And Hearts at home to St Mirren. St Mirren looking to pick up a couple of points, try and just get themselves away from the danger zone once and for all. So look, I think they're all going to be tough games. But certainly Celtic now, it was the wrong decision to get rid of Martin O'Neill. It clearly was the wrong decision. A lot of us said it at the time. It then took the Celtic hierarchy 8 games to figure it out. Personally, I can understand why you start them, but I would have sacked him after the Dundee United game at Tannadice that night. Would Celtic be better off? Well, I'll tell you this much. They wouldn't have lost the 4 out of the 6 league games that they did lose under Wilfred Nancy, so they would be better off. How many points better off? We'll never know. But you're right, Paul. That could be a decision to put him in, even though it was only for 33 days. It'd be a decision that could come back to haunt. Another thing as well, Martin O'Neill could have been going for a treble as Celtic manager. He had a cup final that he got them into. And then you've got the cup tie starting this week, and you're in the mix, certainly for the league title. But anyway, that's all by the by. It's now about kicking on into Wednesday night against a very good Falkirk team. A good home win against Aberdeen and a good away win against St Mirren on Saturday.
Bit more from Martin O'Neill.
There'll be plenty more turmoil between now and then at the end of the season. It's nice. We've got a big game on Wednesday, so the lads are off tomorrow, ready for Monday now. Don't get carried away. I thought we played really well. Somebody told me we had like 32 passes in the build-up to the first goal, but we still have to score it, you know. And while we had things that were flying across the box and we had a bit of pressure, you know, you still have to break them down. And so Yang, who's having a really good time of it at the minute, it was nice to score. Great.
Barry, can you remember a league title race like this? Hearts 47, Rangers 44, Celtic 41. If there's such a thing as a neutral, this is what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And when you mentioned Rangers there, I thought there wasn't any chance of him being honest with you a couple of months ago. So for Rangers to be back into a title race is great from my point of view, but as I said, Paul, on Friday, this is 100% going down to the wire, this league title. I think it could get into the final game. It's just who's going to be the most consistent. And in my opinion, it's who's going to have the best January transfer window as well.
And so far, Rangers are off to a flyer. Gary, before you go, I know that must be worrying. Now, Martin O'Neill's just in the building. He does speak about transfers coming up. We'll hear that after the break. But it's crucial. You get something. Even, the lift of Martin O'Neill was massive, but you want that to continue. Falkirk, what do you think is going to happen midweek?
Yeah, I think the Falkirk game will be really tough because, John McGlynn's gotten absolutely flying this season and they've been on a great run of form, so that could be a really tough game. And in all honesty, I would take a 1-0 and up the road. And Wednesday, it's one of those games, say midweek, horrible games that you just want to win and get out the way with. But in terms of transfers, obviously, I'm hearing that Austin Trustee's picked up an injury at the weekend. That's why Stephen Welsh has been recalled. For me, it's always possibility about loan deals. There was obviously talk of Callum Wilson. For me, as I say, as a Newcastle fan, Callum Wilson's done. I wouldn't see that being a positive move, in my opinion. The Kieran Bowie one, I don't see as paying $6.5 million if that's the figure that's getting bandied about. And then there's talk of this Uruguayan boy Ignacio La Quintana.
Yeah.
And for me, as I say, loan deal. It's just that absolutely killing the fans. Like they had a real chance of uniting the whole club by letting the Green Brigade back in on Saturday and getting the stadium full again, and they didn't do it. They just need to pull the finger out because we need a striker badly. If we don't sign a striker in the next week or two, that could be the nail in the coffin for us in terms of winning the league.
Because the games are running out, Mark, isn't it? We're now past the halfway stage. Celtic play again Wednesday. But it's funny how you hear them down south talking about Man United, only 17 games. They're out the cup, as we know. You made a great point there about Martin O'Neill. It could have been a treble season for him, a quarter of a century after he did it, the first time.
Yeah. But look, you've got to crack on, Paul. 17 games to go, 51 points to play for. Like I say, I think 84 is going to win you the title. So you look at Hearts. Hearts are, big way there. Rangers are in really, really good form. A real bit of consistency now under Danny Rohl, and he's going to strengthen the squad. He's got the backing of the Rangers hierarchy, which will be music to his ears. And then you've got Celtic, that little bounce with Martin O'Neill coming in, trying to get everything going again. But I'll say it, Paul, I'll say it again. Celtic will not win the league with the current squad. The onus is on the hierarchy to go and get quality in. And by the way, see if it's 3 loan signings, so be it. I don't have a problem with that, and I don't think Martin O'Neill would. It's just about the next 17 games and try to get the title over the line.
Doesn't matter. Barry does it in January. It's a difficult window. Same for Rangers, getting people in on loans, but some signings as well.
The players that come in January have to improve the 11. Yeah. You don't bring players in January just to be squad players, unless you've got serious injuries. But certainly the ones that Rangers are going after are the ones that I think it can really strengthen the team.
Gary, thanks for the call. 0808 17 17 700. Go Radio Football Show. We'll go back on the lines in a moment or two. Laurie will be joining us from the east end of the great city of Glasgow. Mark is passing something to me. We're here on YouTube as well. Alvaro Arbeloa has been appointed the new manager with Xabi Alonso disappearing and being sacked earlier today. Thank you, Mark, keeping me up to date there on international. What's that got to do with the Go Radio Football Show? No, I'm kidding. We talk about everything. Man United fans, if we were in Manchester, Barry, instead of in Glasgow, they must be going nuts out the cup.
Yeah, listen, I was desperate when Dan Fletcher got the job in interim. I was desperate for him to do well. I really like Dan Fletcher. I think he was a brilliant player as well, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think he got the credit that he deserved, but he's had a tough couple of games. The draw against Burnley and last night, that was a sore one, getting beat off Brighton at home in the cup. So it looks to me, watching obviously Sky Sports today, that Michael Carrick is the favourite to come in and take that job. He's got a bit more experience than Dan Fletcher. Obviously we've been at Middlesbrough for 3 years. He'd done a pretty good job there, but when Dan got the job, I was desperate for him to go and win a few games, and hopefully if that was going to be the case, he would have got the job obviously until the end of the season. Cup holders Crystal Palace out, of course, so the cup holders here are Aberdeen. It's going to be cup this coming weekend, kicking off Friday night, so with Rangers. Rangers double header with Aberdeen. What a week for Rangers. The win against Celtic, a goal down at half time, and then they won 3-1. That was in the Wilfred Nancy days. But against managerless Aberdeen, 2 wins. Here's the manager, Danny Rohl.
It's a tough place to go. We felt it, and I think the players know this from the past. But when you look a little bit at the moment at our story, what we are doing, we have a lot of positive moments. We start away in Hibs to win a game, what was not easy. Then at the moment we have a goalkeeper who's always there, ready to save in some moments. And we have in front players that worked also very hard. That was my last sentence today to my group. We need today attacking players, they think defence. And if we do this, then we have really a chance to score.
2 wins, Barry, not taken away from Rangers, but Aberdeen, how poor are they compared to even the Aberdeen you played last season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take away the good 3 points that Rangers got yesterday, but Aberdeen offered very little, if I'm being honest with you. And the money that they've spent and the budget they have up there, I'm sure the Aberdeen fans will be pretty worried. So yeah, look, Aberdeen certainly done better yesterday than they done in Tuesday night at Ibrox. The first half, at least they were a bit more competitive. But see, watching the game, not at any stage did I feel Rangers were in any danger. There was a long range shot in the first half. It went through a ruckus of players. Jack Butland, made a good save. But apart from that, I can't really think that Aberdeen at any stage try to pepper Rangers' goal. And normally when you go up to Pittodrie, that's what it's like. It's 100 mile an hour and they're very direct. And as I said, I thought Rangers were very comfortable within the full 90 minutes.
Mark, the Don's dentist's nightmare, they're toothless. I mean, they were never going to score, were they?
No. I mean, Barry's right, and they got a good wee spell where they picked up a few results, and they've slipped away again. You know, we're just looking at the form guide there that James and Gary have given us. You know, no wins in 6, 5 defeats. It's not good enough, and you're right. Normally going to Pittodrie, whatever, particularly in that weather yesterday, you think whatever happens, we're going to have to give 100% to leave with 3 points. That would have been the attitude, but I'm not taking anything away from Rangers. But they didn't need to be 100%. Yes, they were very, very competent, very comfortable, could have won by more. And it'll now be interesting to see what Aberdeen do with this appointment. Like I said, Fennensteel, he wants to be in the dugout, he wants to be in the technical area, and that's why I think it'll be somebody that he knows that'll be appointed as the next manager in Aberdeen.
Here's a bit more from Danny Rohl.
The result was both 2-0. I'm not sure if it was a better performance, a different way to go in such a game. We were really focused on our side, what we have to do. We look not so much on the opponent in the last 3-4 days. We improve, and it starts again with confidence. You see it really on the pitch now that we find more the free men. We are more braver, even under pressure, to play football. But also then we understand when we have to go in behind, and this is a good job at the moment for my players. Again, a clean sheet, a lot of clean sheets at the moment. This was also for me in the halftime. I spoke about defend until the end. If you do it, then you can win games.
Scott's on asking Barry, would you give some credit to, well, obviously you do give credit to Danny Rohl for what he's got out of a squad which Kevin Thelwell was kind of blamed for or credited for, and then it cost him his job. But how much of that is the skill of Danny Rohl, who at 36 has shown real maturity as the Rangers manager?
Yeah, he has. And I mean, if you go back before he took the job, the players' confidence was lower than a snake's belly. They were really struggling, and you were worried where a win was going to come from. But slowly but surely, he's clearly working really hard in the training ground. And this is the same group of players that were written off basically, and says that they were nowhere near good enough. And rightly so, because the performances and the results weren't good enough. But you've got to give, obviously, the manager and the coaching staff, but also you've got to give the players credit as well, because they come in for a lot of criticism. But now they're showing a real... The big thing for me is they're showing a real togetherness. And that's important. Mixed in with some good play at times. It's not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But what they're doing is they're finding ways to win games of football. And that's the most important thing.
Campbell's on saying Nico Raskin now during the window, he must be one of the ones who Rangers would get quite a bit of money for. He could be on his way. Would you be surprised? And how worried would you be?
Well, he's, in my opinion, he's Rangers' biggest asset. There's no doubt about that. And when he's playing at the top of his game, he's a top midfielder, Nico. No doubt about it. And I'm sure there will be interest. And as I say, every player has a price. Every player. If somebody comes in and they don't offer that price, I know for a fact Rangers won't sell. It has to be right. So at this moment in time, he's doing what he does best, and that's performing on the pitch. And we just need to wait and see what happens. But he's got a big summer coming up. He's at the World Cup.
Belgium.
He's broke. He's found a way to get into that Belgium team. And he's become a regular in the Belgium team. So he knows that he has to focus on one thing, and that's making sure that his game is at the standards where it should be, and certainly at Rangers.
Mark, what do you think? Do you think he'll be on his way during the window?
I think there'll be interest. I mean, one thing that we don't know, or I certainly don't know for sure, is Rangers will clearly, they're spending money. There's intent there to go and spend money, chunky sums of money, and loan deals for potentially 2 Premier League players. Now, how do you fund that, Paul? You might have to fund that by selling one of your own assets, and if that's the case, then Raskin would obviously come under the spotlight. But if you're Raskin, as Barry says, what you've got to weigh up is, I'm going into 5 months before I go to a World Cup. Now, I know I'm going to play every week for Rangers. I'm an integral part of the plan. I've got a chance to be a league champion. I've not been a league champion at Rangers. The flip side of that is you could go and treble your wages and go and play, not saying necessarily a bigger club, but in a bigger league. Yeah. But when you do that, you're potentially, am I going to play every week? Does that put me out of the plans? So there's all those kind of things to weigh up. But at some point, Rangers do need to balance the books. You can't keep spending without bringing things in, whether it's loans, getting rid of wages, whatever it may be. And there's probably 5 or 6 players maybe at Rangers that you could go and get 500, 600, 700 grand for that are clearly surplus to requirements if you can manage to sell them. So it's just whatever way Rangers find a way of trying to bring some of the money in that they've put out already.
Yeah, in terms of the players that are going to be surplus, I don't think Rangers will be difficult to deal with.
Really?
I think Mark makes a good point. Yeah, they may be valued a bit more, but at the end of the day, they're no part of the plans, or the manager doesn't see them part of the plans, and you might need to just cut your losses. What you do is you get a small amount of money in, but also you get them off the wage budget as well, which is important. And the wages of some of the players is certainly high. There's no doubt about that.
Laurie's on the line. He's going nowhere during the transfer window. He's still with the Go Radio Football Show. Hi, Laurie. Good evening.
Hey, Paul. Good evening. Good evening, Matt. Good evening, Barry.
How you doing, Laurie?
Hey, Laurie.
I'm doing fine, guys. I'll tell you, Paul, I'm conscious of the fact that Barry's in the studio, and I certainly don't want to come across as being obsequious. It's not my style, I should say from that. I was absolutely mystified that Barry wasn't offered the Rangers job during his short tenure last season at Ibrox. given that he had claimed 2 notable scalps, 4 points in 6 possible against Brendan Rodgers, and then eliminated Jose Mourinho, one of the world's greatest coaches in the history of football, in fact, when he was at Fenerbahce. Therefore, I was astonished when Barry wasn't given the job. Fast forward, Russell Martin, and I've said he was out the door.
Yep.
He's been replaced by Danny Rohl. And you know what, Paul? I know that it's almost tantamount to heresy or sacrilege in this part of the country that we live in. If you're ever, as a Celtic fan, to say anything complimentary about Rangers, or vice versa, if it's a Rangers fan,
sure,
they were to say anything complimentary about Celtic. I'm going to break with tradition and convention. I spoke on the programme some weeks ago, and I'd said to Barry, and this is before Rangers had embarked on the lengthy 1-and run.
Yep.
They lost to Celtic in the League Cup final. Of course, they played most of that game with 10 men. And I'd said to Barry at the time that this guy, Danny Rohl, he's got his wits about him. And I reckoned that once he gets his feet under the table, he would prove quite formidable. Mm-hmm. And thus it's proven to be the case. I listened to the guy. There's nothing brazen about him. He's not given to bombast. He's very kind of sober in his comments. But here's the thing. Rangers, almost unnoticed, have come up on the outside lane. And but it would have been thought inconceivable when he took over from Russell Martin. Rangers are now back in the title race. Who would have thought that? Absolutely incredible. And his team is athletic. They're well organised. Yep. And in this game, I noticed that Danny Rohl served his apprenticeship to some extent under Hansi Flick. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you watched that game last night, Hansi Flick is the coach at Barcelona. Yep. They saw off Real Madrid.
Sure.
So the point is that, I'm bringing with tradition and convention. I don't, probably my most oft-repeated comment on this programme, Paul, is that I don't seek to ingratiate myself with anybody. And there might be a few Celtic supporters listening to my comment just now.
Sure.
Yeah. Listen, how dare he say that?
Listen, you can say it's an AI sort of bot or some who's replicated your voice, Laurie. See, when you said obsequious, I was looking up in case that's a new signing for Rangers that's come in.
I just googled it as well.
James is good. No, I knew. We don't hear it too often. That's what I like about the Go Radio Football Show. Very wide canvas. Barry, big compliment there from Laurie. Celtic daft, but he's paying tribute to the work of Danny Rohl.
Yeah, and rightly so. And I agree with what Laurie's saying, that they're quietly went about their business. They're finding ways to win games of football. Yep, they've had a couple of bumps. There was a big bump a few weeks back against Hearts at Tynecastle. Yeah. But they've shown a bit of grit and determination, and then to go and win 5 games on the bounce. And what I like about this manager is he's not happy with just what's happening just now. That's the reason why he wants to go and strengthen. He wants to go and bring in 3, 4, 5 players to make sure that Rangers remain in this title hunt right until the end of the season. And
he's obviously got a direct line to Andrew Kavanagh, the chairman, because he mentioned
I had no doubt, Paul. I had no doubt that the chairman and the board, I had no doubt in my mind that they would try and do everything in their power to back the manager. Certainly with the run that he's been on since he's taken the job. And as I said, this is a 3-horse race. Now, Rangers have to go for it. I'm sure Celtic will try and bring in players, and I'm sure Derek at Hearts will try and bring in players. And it's who, in my opinion, has the best window and who is the most consistent. But it's definitely 100% going right to the wire, this.
Mark?
It's funny just listening to Laurie and then Barry, when you think about it. So I'm going to take Hearts out of the equation. They're top of the table, everything's been great. They made a fantastic appointment this summer, Derek McInnes. Yep. They've got their recruitment really good. They've got Graham Jones in, as Director of Football. But let's look at Celtic and Rangers. Now it's true, Rangers could go and win the title. Celtic could go and retain the title. And if you look at it, it'll be despite horrendous decision making by both hierarchies. Rangers 8 months ago, when they overlooked Barry and put in Russell Martin, they then probably stood by him 2 or 3 weeks longer than they should have, but I get why they did. They've now recovered from that, and Danny Rohl has got them going towards the title. It would not be a surprise now if Rangers won the title. It wouldn't have been a surprise 3 months ago because they were well out of it. And you look at Celtic. Celtic have made a horrendous decision in appointing Wilfred Nancy that's really put them on the back foot in terms of the title race. But they might still go on and win it because they've put in Martin O'Neill. So you could have a champion that's come through real adversity at different stages of the season, or it could be just that Hearts just keep motoring for the next 17 games and don't look back. And they've had a wonderful season.
See, going on the title challenge, watching, which I did, Dundee Hearts, obviously goalkeeper gets sent off. I knew what Derek McInnes's team talk would have been at half time. He'd have been thinking, see people watching us and people that are going against us, they think we're going to falter here. There's no way that's going to happen. Dundee, very good in the second half. They peppered Hearts' box, but I tell you what, Hearts defended their 18-yard box brilliantly. I thought they were excellent yesterday. And see, they wins, they're the best ones.
You enjoy those the most. You appreciate
they're the best
it.
ones.
They had 23 crosses, didn't they?
Yeah,
into
but
the
when you're
box.
under the cosh constantly, I thought Craig Halkett, I thought Big Stuart Finlay, they were immense at the back, and then obviously that unbelievable save by Craig Gordon at the right of the death of the game. But Hearts are definitely in this. They're not going anywhere. They're not. People wrote them off weeks ago. No way. I wouldn't write them off.
Laurie, Celtic's chance with Martin O'Neill back, but also the next 3 weeks with the window. It's crucial. How many players do you expect to come in? Do you want to come in?
Sorry, you're addressing that comment to myself?
Yeah. Yes, Laurie. How many players do you think you need? Just briefly.
Well, I'll try and kind of be succinct in my comments here because I realise other people will be trying to go on. I don't want to sign off without first saying how delighted I am that the blessed Martin has been.
Yeah, I thought you would
returned.
be. Of course, yeah. We told you first last Monday.
I predicted the programme weeks ago when they were contemplating giving the job to Wilfred Nancy that Celtic were sleepwalking their way into a nightmare. I was proven correct about that.
Yep.
The nightmare came to an end when we defeated Dundee United 4-0. Wilfred Nancy is gone. He's done immeasurable damage to Celtic. It was the most bizarre 5-week episode, I think, in Celtic's history. Wilfred Nancy has done for Celtic what Luciano Pavarotti would have done for hang gliding.
I wondered where that one was going. Laurie, we'll never know how many signings you want because we're out of time, but I dare say you'll come on again later in the week. It's the Go Radio Football Show. We're back next. Monday night, Paul Cooney here with Barry Ferguson and Mark Guidi. Can we say who else was in the studio earlier on? Because Charlie Mulgrew popped in. He'd got his dates wrong. He'll be with us later in the week. But it was great to see the big man. Yeah. Do you know what I asked him? What does he prefer? The set here, the new Go Radio 1, which we're on YouTube. Just go to the space bar and type in Go Radio Football Show. This or sports scene. He was very good with Tomo the other night, but he said he prefers our new studio.
And so he should.
Any thoughts, Mark? I don't know why I threw you that one. Getting you back there for the new Barcelona manager on that one. Quite a lot of Celtic fans coming on. Happy that Martin O'Neill is back, but the honeymoon period will be over soon. Not for him, but for the club, because so far, no signings. But Mark Guidi is keeping a beady eye on it, and he's checking the record, he's checking the Sun, he's checking the Evening Times, the Cathcart News, and everything. Just looking to see any word on Olsen, Skov Olsen on the way to Rangers, Barry, because there could be more. This could happen very, very quickly.
Yeah, as I said, I think Rangers are going to be very active in the market. I think it's obviously with Rangers being a very good run, I think this is the best time to go and strengthen it. I think the manager's clearly identified where he wants to strengthen. The first one's come in, Chukwueze, who's a very physical specimen in the middle of the pitch, but he can also play as well. As I said to you, he can play that number 6, and that'll be vital because Connor Barron is out for 2 to 3 months, and I think in the coming days you'll see various players come in, and also I firmly believe there will be a few going out the door because they're pretty top heavy in the squad, and there's quite a few players that I would imagine are surplus at this moment in time.
Players coming in, Martin O'Neill clearly hopeful. I mean, what a week it's been for him, Mark. Did he head back down south again? Because he was with you this time last week, going to do an event in Kilsyth. He's now the Celtic manager, but he must be frustrated at the length of time it's taking to get players in.
Well, he's made it clear from his very first press conference 6 days ago, and I think everybody knows that Celtic need reinforcements. They badly need a number 9, possibly 2. Maeda got on the score sheet again on Saturday, got the 4th goal, but he's not a natural number 9. Although the 2 wide boys that played for Celtic, Yang and Tenecki coming back in were good. Engels looked the part again. The right back, Arujo, I have to pronounce his name properly. He settled in very well. Yeah, he obviously had that tackle, but in terms of his distribution, his appetite.
What did you think about the tackle?
Well, I thought it was a clear yellow. I didn't think for a minute it was a red, but I thought it was certainly a yellow. He mistimed it, but his overall play, I thought he was very effective. Liam Scales, effective as well, and even Kasper Schmeichel getting back to basics. But I don't know what he's been told to do from Wilfred Nancy, but clearly he looked a bit unsettled under Wilfred Nancy, but he certainly looked the part again on Saturday.
I know you said Schmeichel. I think just the full Celtic team and back to basics. And that's where you see the difference. No overkill with information. Players know their roles and responsibilities, as I said. And I've said plenty of times, you're going about coaching and management. I think football's simple, but it's made complicated with far too many people. And I think if you watch Celtic and Saturday against Dundee United to the previous games, they just stuck to basics and players looked more comfortable. And I've seen a few interviews, and that's what the players were coming out with. Look
at that moment when Trusty slipped up, Mark, and there was Liam Scales, who probably wouldn't have been playing under Wilfred Nancy. He was there to sweep up, and that could have put it a 1-1, which a couple of weeks ago was what was happening.
Yeah, it was a real good appetite, desire from Scales to go and recover the mistake made by his central defensive colleague. But it's another clean sheet. I mean, if you look at Martin O'Neill's league games, Paul, I think that would be 6 league game and 5 clean sheets. Out of 6, only 1 goal conceded. A penalty kick against Hibs, 6 wins in a row. So you put that record in there. You then put up against Danny Rohl's record, which is really, really good as well. And then you look at Hearts yesterday, going to Dens Park and getting it. That's why we've got a title race. But Barry's right. Let's see where the 3 clubs sit on February 1st once the window closes.
He was asked about the future of Dyson Maeda.
No, I haven't at the minute, and I will do now that we've got a couple of days, Monday and Tuesday. I would hope that he stay at the football club, and we can't. Well, yeah. Listen, I'm sure that I'm fearful of saying something to you here and finding out maybe 3 days later something else has happened. So, no, I wouldn't want to lose him.
Mark.
I think Martin O'Neill might have just been about to say that we can't afford to lose him, and then just pulled back before he has a conversation with Maeda, just for clarity. And there could be bids sitting there. It could be about to drop a bomb on the club by saying, like, I want to go. We'll wait and see. But if there's one guy that can persuade him to stay at the moment, just for another 4 months, it'll be Martin O'Neill.
Because it's not more money that they need just now, it's to retain a title that they were the favourites for at the start of the season.
Well, put it this way, if Celtic did sell Maeda in this window, then they're making life really, really hard for them, particularly again when you have not got replacements in the building, Paul. I think it would be the final straw for the Celtic supporters if the club sold Maeda without having proper reinforcements in the door. And I'd imagine Martin O'Neill would feel let down as well.
Barry Kelly drawing 1-1, so that was I think a big result for your old teammates, your old colleagues.
Yeah, I was flicking between that and my son's game, just to keep a keen eye on, and Terry and Dodgy, and they went a goal down, but they showed a bit of fight to come back in. They made a few changes. They got that vital goal. The most important thing is they come away with something for the game. I'm sure he'll be disappointed that he never come away with 3 points, but a point's no the worst away to Livingston.
News is coming up. There's more coming up. Kilmarnock might be getting a Rangers player perhaps on loan. Tell you more about that after the news. And also St Mirren fans, what are you feeling after another disappointing result at the weekend? And Falkirk fans, what a win for you against the Saints. News is next, then we're back. Hour 2, Paul Cooney, Mark Guidi and Barry Ferguson here on the Go Radio Football Show. 08 17 17 700. We're only 2 days away from more football. Hearts against St Mirren. St Mirren, as we mentioned earlier, haven't won since the League Cup final, the Premier Sports Cup victory. And they're the only team who could win the treble. But the way it's looking, guys, it's not going to be St Mirren. It's going to be Hearts, it's going to be Rangers, or it's going to be Celtic. Motherwell and Hibs. Barry, do you feel after the weekend, because they, 1-1, neither of them is probably going to be in the top three at the end, or is it a season where they could come up in the rails?
No, I very much doubt it, but certainly both of the teams you mentioned are going to be in the top six. Two teams that have certainly impressed me. I think David Gray, again, done a good job at Hibs, but Motherwell's been the surprise package. As I said to you, Paul, they've been the best football team I've watched. Really enjoyed them, even when they came to Ibrox. No Rangers won the game, but the first 20 minutes, I've not seen a team come to Ibrox and dominate the game so much. Yep, they've been excellent. They'll be desperate to keep a hold of the manager. I'm sure there'll be a lot of clubs keep an eye on him, and certainly some of the players have impressed me as well.
Mark,
I don't know what you think of him, Barry. Mashwinishi.
Yep.
I think he's got a move in him. I love his pace. You look at his finish on Saturday as well at Easter Road. I think there'll be a few teams sniffing about Mashwinishi, and it'd be interesting to see what Motherwell value him at.
Top scorer in the league, isn't he? He's at 13 goals so far. Lawrence Shanklin just in behind him. Barry, he's done so well, came back in and scored at the weekend, Mashwinishi.
Yeah, Mark's right. He's one of a number of players that I've been honest with you that have impressed me, but I'm sure Motherwell will be desperate to keep a hold of him, because what a season they've had. They've got a real chance to play in European football if they keep this form up. And
they'd want to keep the manager as well, Jens Berto Askew. I don't think he would go to Aberdeen just now, would you?
No. I think he'd want to see out the season and finish the job off at Motherwell. I know Aberdeen he would be able to work with a bigger budget, and obviously the salary would be a lot more, but he strikes me as the sort of guy that he started something and would want to finish it off.
It wouldn't surprise me ended up the Denmark, the national team boss, Paul, if they don't qualify. The manager would go under pressure, but he might just fancy club football. But with the great respect, Motherwell will do really well to hang on to him, because there is interest in him already, and I think that interest will intensify. But Barry's right, he won't go anywhere. He'll see the season out and see how high he can take Motherwell, and they'll fancy their chances of the Scottish Cup as well.
One of the headlines in news as well as sport is Nico Raskin involved in a confrontation with an Aberdeen fan at the end of the game. We saw it there on social media. Barry, you know what it's like going to Pittodrie. You've suffered it as well. It happens at lots of grounds. It's not just Pittodrie, but the things being thrown onto the pitch it shouldn't be happening. And the Rangers the Rangers team subjected to a fair bit of abuse.
Yeah, when they scored the goal, there was all sorts flying on the pitch, cups and whatever. Listen, it's very hostile. There's no doubt. When you go up to Aberdeen, it's no nice to see. And then Nico at the end. Listen, you've played well, you've won the game. Just get in the dressing room, get back down the road. You've got 3 points in the pokey. I'm sure if he looks back at knowing Nico, he'll look back and think that was silly.
I thought it was Vaclav Cherny back there, because he would have been at Ibrox if you had your way, Barry. And
but listen, you get it. You just need to take it. Some of this stuff is no nice, if I'm being honest, but you've got to rise above it. You have got to rise above it.
Mark, there's been such bad feeling between the two clubs for a long time. It's an amazing fixture, but we would just wish they could tone some of that down between Aberdeen and the Rangers team when they come up to Pittodrie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been an incident with the supporters yesterday. You don't like to see it. On the park though, Paul, you look at Ibrox in midweek, then you look yesterday, and I'm not taking it away from Rangers, because Rangers won the game. They won both convincingly, but neither was a powder keg fixture. No. I mean, it wasn't like that, and before it used to be, there was no quarter given, but maybe that's one thing that Aberdeen need to get back into the game, is that bit of grit, that bit of fight. But on the park, it was certainly both teams were well behaved.
Barry, what about Finlay Curtis? Could he be on his way to Rugby Park on loan?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I know Terry and Dodgy really liked him. I really liked him as well. I just felt he needed a bit more work. He's obviously not played as much football as he would have liked. That's clear. So I think the best thing for Finlay would to go out on loan and play the last 4 months on a more regular basis. And obviously knowing who he's going to be going and work with. Both Terry and Dodgy will work closely with him and certainly improve him.
Paul's been on in Hamilton saying, guys, I'm loving Scottish football, much better than English football. Doesn't get the credit we deserve in Scotland. A Scottish game does, but he's absolutely enjoying it, Barry. And that's something that you always say.
I'm going to stick up for it because, listen, I played the vast majority of my football up here. And listen, it's not the best to watch, but do you know what? You get a fair bit of excitement, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. And there's some really good managers up here. I believe there's some really good players as well. We were talking about it on Friday, both Rangers and Celtic. It's probably the weakest we've seen them for a long time. But then you go back to look at teams like Motherwell, for instance. St Mirren going beating Celtic in the cup final. So, yeah, but I'll always stick up for our game. I don't think it deserves the credit at times it should get. And then you hear people down the road giving it all sorts, which cracks me up. Because believe me, the people who give it a bit of grief, I don't think they would have lasted.
What did you like, though, in England, apart from the wages, which we know it's just another plan? No, there must have been something about the English game you enjoyed. And what did you miss when you went to Blackburn Rovers?
The intensity of playing and being under pressure every single day. I don't know why people sometimes say to me, is there something up with you? You all right? Because I say that, I just enjoyed the pressure. Even in games when you didn't play well, that drive home, getting in, no speaking to anybody, refocusing and getting back into training and making sure that next game that you had to be the main man or you had to get that win.
Do you think we're going to see an upset in the Cup, Mark? We're not going to go in detail just now, but obviously the big two have got lower league opposition. Can you see a Crystal Palace coming up?
I wouldn't imagine so. Paul, Rangers and Auchinleck against Celtic. I would have loved to have seen Auchinleck play at their own park at Talbot. At the ground, it would have been great for the community. For me, that's what the Scottish Cup is all about. Okay, understand the regulations and safety, etc. But still, you know, I just don't think it's right that it's not at Talbot's ground. But anyway, no, to answer your question, I don't see any major upsets in terms of Rangers and Celtic. I think they'll both be in the draw for the next round.
So when Rangers were up the road at Aberdeen yesterday, it was pen to paper. Toche Chukwani joined Rangers. The pictures went out on social media. You see it in the papers this morning. £3.5 million from Sturm Graz. And Danny Rohl was asked about the midfielder after the game.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I think we worked hard the last couple of days to make this deal done. Big thank you to the board, to Andrew. I think at the moment the communication is great. Tochi will bring a good physical side, big experience also in Europe, and this is also very important to understand. We have also a group today on the pitch. They worked really hard. They deserved also big credit, and this is exactly what we need. We need the challenge in some positions, but we have also to understand our development in the last 10-12 weeks. It's outstanding from some players, and again, I think look to Telo. He scored again a goal, and it's the next one who goes in the right direction, and this is for me really pleased to see.
Barry, the new signing then, a bit of muscle in the midfield?
Yeah, that's the kind of profile they're certainly looking for. Certainly when you play in the Scottish League, you need to have a physical presence, certainly in the engine room, and that's what Chukwani will bring. He's got good experience, Paul. The manager just mentioned there, he's got a fair bit of European experience. He's won titles before. He won the Austrian Bundesliga last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. You'll probably know you don't get, and I'm sure the guys will be telling him, you don't get much time to settle here, so he'll need to really hit the ground running. But I've got high hopes for him. I think he's the sort of player that will really suit Rangers, and he's the sort of player that I think Rangers need in the middle of the park. He's a bit different for the other ones that Rangers have at this moment in time.
And the Sunderland loan players that we mentioned on Friday, probably in the way, coming in soon. Mark, a lot happening at Ibrox.
Yeah, both played for Sunderland against Everton in the Cup. Mundo, looked the part. Neil come off the bench. But if Rangers can get the pair of them over the line, Paul, and they're still trying to get the left back done as well for Westerlo on a permanent transfer, you'd have to say that's really good business. And Danny Rohl, waxing lyrically there about Chukwueze and what he can bring to the team, power, experience. It's like he sounds really excited almost. I know it's not, but it's kind of the way he talks, like the final piece of the jigsaw. But it's not. There's still work to be done, and I'll be really interested to see if they go for an out and out number 9. But Mundo's Barry spoke about the other night, can fill a variety of roles in that forward area.
Barry, it's changed days, isn't it? For months. Derek, for example, not your brother, another Derek, big Rangers fan, with the coffee shop. He would come on. He was so passionate about Rangers, but he was ahead of the Generals in some ways, because he was saying that it wasn't going to work out, that there was the wrong choices being made. But Rangers now seem to be building something for the rest of this season and the years to come.
Yeah, it was. He's right, but it wasn't working at the start. But then you look at Andrew and the board, they've took ownership. They've went and thought, right, this is clearly not working. We have to make a change. They've made some massive changes over the last couple of months, and it's clear that these changes are certainly working. And I always say it, the best time to strengthen is when you're in a good place. And at this moment in time, Rangers are in a good place. And the manager clearly thinks that the players that he's identified, if they can get them in, which the board will do everything possible they can, they will strengthen Rangers. And that gives Rangers an even better chance to winning the title.
And Mark, Jim Gillespie coming in, of course, he's been at Kibble as well, CEO there, I think, as well as Vice Chairman at St Mirren. He's coming in over at Celtic. There's unrest still going on, but at Rangers, it's strange the way it's turned around in the last 6 months, isn't it?
Yeah, it has, Paul. Rangers are going in the right direction. Andrew Kavanagh will admit, it's clear he made mistakes in the door. I'm not saying he took his eye off the ball, but I'll make the same comparison that I made with Hearts. And so I think Hearts were trying to complicate things rather than see what was under their nose. Derek McInnes was under their nose. Barry was under Andrew Kavanagh's nose, and he chose to go elsewhere. There's no doubt he'll regret that decision, or he did regret it. He'll be in a happier place now with Danny Rohl the team are certainly motoring. They're putting a really strong executive behind the scenes. Fraser Thornton doing really well. Jim Gillespie now in. He knows Scottish football. He's a Rangers supporter. They've got James Taylor in there as well, as financial officer, who's very, very competent at his job. And I think the one thing that's clear behind the scenes, and Barry knows because he's been there, he's still involved behind the scenes, is that there's a clear line of dialogue from Andrew Kavanagh, even to the supporters. And that's what the Celtic fans are wanting just now. Yep. They're wanting meaningful dialogue. The Celtic supporters seem to want the Green Brigade back in. They want Brian Wilson, the new interim chairman, to go and engage, to go and try and make that happen. Now, I think, unless I'm mistaken, Celtic don't play at home until the end of the month. A European game, they don't have a domestic game at home for a while. I don't think it's an easy fix with the Green Brigade because there's so many misdemeanours against the Green Brigade over a period of years, Paul, not just in the past 3 or 4 months. But how do you find a way to bring them back into the stadium to help create that atmosphere? I was at Celtic Park on Saturday, quite flat. I mean, there was a clear, uptake in the atmosphere because of Martin O'Neill coming back and everybody responded and they got the result. But there's a bit missing, and it's okay just now. But if you're still in the title hunt with 8-9 games to go, 4 or 5 at home, and bearing in mind after the split, if Celtic are still in the title race, Rangers and Hearts come to Parkhead after the split, you want your stadium at its optimum at that point. And right now, Celtic seem a long way from that.
We hear from Martin O'Neill in a moment or two about possible signings. Barry Phillips he's watching on YouTube, saying Rangers are acting like a feeder club. I'm sick of these loanee signings coming into the club. Absolutely sick of them. What would you say to Philip?
Sick of
loanees coming, if there's loan players coming in.
You have to use the market. they've made a signing for £3.5-4 million. The left back's coming in, as Mark's just mentioned, another £3 million. Sometimes you might target somebody and it just might not work. You can't come to a deal, so you have to use the loan market. And I don't like too many loans, but I understand with being a manager that you do need to use the market, and that might be the case that Rangers. But you need to sit down with these guys, and when you're signing players, you need to look them in the eye and make sure if they're loans and they're coming, that they want to come and hit the ground running and they want to be part of it. Because sometimes players just move for the sake of moving. You need to make sure they're the right ones. And listen, I understand if Rangers need to go down that way, but they're also shelling out a bit of money, Paul, as well.
There's so much difference now, isn't there, between the money in the Premier League in England and probably the top of the Championship, between what they can pay at Rangers and Celtic. Even though they pay really good salaries, wages, it's not the same.
Paul, the salaries, and Mark will tell you, the salaries in the Championship are huge.
30,000 a week.
And the rest.
40,000 a week. And more in some cases.
Yep.
In Scotland, the highest wages would be around 40 grand a week, I would imagine. There might be the exception.
So that's what you're up against.
Yeah.
And if players are in long-term deals and they've got 2 or 3 years left of their contract, that's a hell of a lot of money they're going to lose. So these are all the situations that you come up against and you need to work against. And that's sometimes why you have to use the loan market, because if somebody's in a high salary, you only need to pay a percentage of that salary.
Mark, it's such a crucial area, isn't it? The recruitment department. And we know it's tough, there's no question. Especially the money in the TV is not the same. Nothing like it in Scotland compared to England and in Germany and in Spain, the superpowers in football in Italy. But it's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah, it is tough, Paul. There's no doubt about that. But Celtic and Rangers have healthy budgets. You look at Hearts, Braga, Norwegian second division. I mean, it's quite incredible, and that's where Hearts have set a really high bar for themselves and for the rest of Scottish football. There's a number of clubs that are jealous of what Hearts have got and want to know their secrets in terms of how they're identifying.
He guards it jealously, doesn't he?
It does, and he's absolutely right, Tony Bloom. In terms of Philip's point, I kind of get it, but also, well, what would you rather have? We can either get these two really quality players in loan from the English Premier League, or we don't get them at all. We have got, if you're Rangers, we've got 16 league games to go. We've got 48 points to play for. We are right in the hunt to be champions. These two players can help us be champions. Do you want them on board or do you not? It's a no-brainer. In an ideal world, of course, you get players in permanently, but sometimes loans are perfect for the club and perfect for the player, and they just want to come and show that hunger and that appetite for 4 months, for 16 games. There's your selling point to any player for Rangers. 16 games to become a champion. We've won 1 title in the last 14 or 15 years. You can come and be a proper hero. What a story it would be if Rangers won the title this year, considering where they were after 9 or 10 games. It would be absolutely incredible.
It's key what Mark says there. If you're getting a lone player, as I said to you before, Paul, you need to sit him down and see if he's got the appetite and he's desperate to come and do well, and he's a right good player and you think he can strengthen the team. You've got to do it.
That would have been a good team talk from Mark, wouldn't it, Barry? Would you ever think of that, saying to the players, 16 games and you can do what only one Rangers team has done in 15 years, which is what it will be. Do you think Mark could make a football coach, manager? He wasn't a goalkeeper. No, I think he's still playing the fives, aren't you? Yeah.
He loves a wee dig, yeah?
No, I'm just trying to get the numbers up on YouTube, which, honestly, 250,000 people were downloading whatever it is they download in the last few days. James, I will get better at that, I promise. We're going to hear Martin O'Neill next talking.
Hopefully better at presenting.
Oh, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen now. And on that note, we're back in a moment. this time tomorrow night, Jim White will be in this chair. Barry's going to pay the wages, having demanded a change, and I don't blame him. So we're on the radio as usual, and also on YouTube as well. Yeah, nearly 250,000 people downloading last week. And what a week it was, Mark. It started with Wilfred Nancy leaving or being sacked in the afternoon. And listen, I think you have a kind of duty of care for that person. He came into town, didn't know what was going to happen, and my goodness, 33 days later he was gone. But then Martin O'Neill is back in the building, and the burning question is, Mark is on, a different Mark in Kirlook, saying, Mark Guidi, any news on signings? That's what Celtic fans want to know now.
Yeah, every Celtic supporter keen to see in what shape or form that the squad is going to be strengthened. It needs to be strengthened, Paul. Like I said, I don't believe the current Celtic squad would be capable of winning the title. I don't think they'll be able to get enough points with the 17 games remaining, so they need reinforcements, and the most important one is to get a number 9 into the building. So that remains to be seen, but certainly Martin O'Neill has made it clear that he wants a number 9, as well as other players, but certainly a number 9 into the building. It's
some story, Barry, isn't it? You're just still in your mid-40s. You could still be in football management in 30 years' time. I
was in my mid-40s.
Well, OK, mid to late 40s. 25 years' time, you could still be. And here is Rangers' new interim manager. He's back in. We're just wheeling him in now.
Here. Believe me, I'll not be here.
Oh, you will. But isn't it remarkable? He's 73 years young.
He's still got the appetite.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, Paul. And age is just a number, in my opinion. A lot of people go on about the age. What is he, 73?
Yep.
73. I think he's a very energetic and youthful 73-year-old, and you can see
and
it.
He looks well. He does. I don't want to bum him up here, but he does look well for his age. Yeah. He clearly looks after himself, unlike you, Paul. But no, listen, he knows the game. Listen, he was a manager at some big clubs, obviously. Leicester done really well, come up to Celtic, done well during my time there. Went down to Aston Villa, he's been Republic of Ireland, he's got so much experience, and these young coaches that are working under him will learn so much. They will learn so much.
What did he have in Coya's Cafe? I know it's been on the social media, Mark. Was it the full, is it sort of vegan breakfast he had or whatever? Can you reveal?
No, well, I'll tell you what I had.
Full English.
It was magnificent, absolutely magnificent, until I saw somebody secretly filmed it.
I know. Yeah,
catching me. I'm just glad I did my mouthful. I was it, but yeah, it was for Martin O'Neill and for Celtic, certainly for Celtic. It was the right move. We've been over and over it, Paul. They should never have get rid of him. And then Wilfred Nancy, on a human level, you feel for him. But Paul, let's be clear, he did not help himself. He absolutely did not help himself by the way he went about his business and his stubbornness in terms of our nation, etc., etc. So if he was willing to be more flexible, they'd just taken on board how Celtic had managed to get the results under Martin O'Neill that they did, and then have a wee tickle here and there, that'd been fine. But ultimately, in my opinion, Wilfred Nancy ruined it for himself.
Let's hear from Martin O'Neill speaking after the 4-0 win over Dundee United at the weekend. What about the window? How hopeful is he of players coming in soon?
I am hopeful that that we are going to get some people in. But just when you think that something might happen, things change around. So listen, it's not me filibustering. It's just me feeling that until they're over the line, I can't come up and say that it's happened. But we obviously need to do it, even just to give help to the boys at present at the minute, because this week, the week that's just gone in, was the only week that we have had since I've come to the football club. We have had a free week, So, and from here on in, we go right through now to I don't know how long, because we're going midweek each time. So there'll be no respite, and if we pick up injuries to really key players here, we could be in serious trouble.
I think that's how the Celtic supporters will feel as well, Paul, and they'll base that on the evidence of the last couple of windows that there's little faith in the hierarchy to go and get good deals done. That's not to say that they can't really pull it out the bag in this window. It's up to them to go and do what they do. But the evidence between some of the recruitment under Paul Tisdale and the timing, the length of time it took to get signs over in the window. There's been far too many substandard players brought to Celtic in the last 3 or 4 windows. Yeah. Far too many.
How many players do you think, Barry, Celtic need at the moment?
How long is a piece of string? Yeah. It's well, it's crying out for a number 9. Yeah. That's obvious. I honestly think they need a central midfielder as well. A real kind of in the kind of same as Rangers have just signed in Chukwueze. That a powerful something different. And another centre back. I know. Would you call him's come back from Motherwell?
Of course, Stephen Welsh.
Stephen Welsh has come back from Motherwell. I actually feel a bit for him because he's been excellent for Motherwell. He's had a run of games where I think he's actually progressed as a player since going to Motherwell. So
Motherwell fans have loved what he's done with them.
Yeah, I seen him, as I said, when I watched Motherwell at Ibrox a few weeks back, Paul, he was excellent. He was really good at the back. So I would probably look right through the spine of the team, because Carter Vickers is out for the rest of the season, so I would probably imagine centre back, centre midfielder, and centre forward. And
of course, still no sign of it, Jota as well. And arguably, they need 2 strikers.
Johnson, I don't know. What's Alistair? What's the script?
Back in the grass, I think, but but not back just yet. Mark, what do you think about it? What do you think? 2 strikers?
Well, just one thing at a time. Paul would be the mantra, but ideally, 2 strikers. But it might be one, it might be none. You know, what is this, day 12?
It can't be none.
Paul, it's day 12 of the window. And there's nothing in yet. You go back to the previous window. They sold Adamida and brought in Iheanacho, who is a really good player. There's no doubt about that. But his attendance record is really poor. So you can't rely on that. So like we're saying, the evidence of previous windows basically adds up to it's not been good enough for Celtic. And if it need be, Paul, you know, if you look at the evidence, most windows, Celtic have a net spend where they're in the black. They bring in more than what they spend, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that if you're getting good quality players in. But if you're not bringing in good quality players, there comes a point where you actually need to say, okay, we might need to spend 7 or 8, 9 million without bringing anything in. And if that needs to be the case, then that needs to be the case. You've got a duty to your fan base to give them the best that you possibly can. A fan base that puts in £40 million a year. You have a duty as a hierarchy and as an executive team to give them the best, and to a manager who you've asked to come back to get you out of a hole yet again. Now, if you do that and then you don't give him the best possible tools to go and do the job, totally unacceptable.
I'm astonished I've not brought him in. I know they brought the boy for Bournemouth in, but as Mark said there, what we on the 12th of January? Strange. I would be shocked if there's nobody in this week.
Yeah, surely the Celtic fans are on.
Don't be surprised if there's no.
Kieran's saying surely. In fact, he's listening just now, hoping there'll be some news, but there's nothing at the moment. But you heard Martin Neal saying, of course he's hopeful of people coming in. Celtic have got £80 million in the bank. Now, nobody's suggesting go and spend 50 million, but they will have to. They don't have the model this year. They don't have the Champions League money. How much is that, Mark? 35, 40 million, probably. Yeah. And look, there's no guarantee they're going to get it next year. And of course, because the coefficient's so poor in Scotland, then they have to qualify if they win the title.
So if Rangers win the title, they're straight in the Champions League. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Because of their coefficient?
Yes.
Yep.
No, Barry, I don't know 100%. I think it might depend on who wins other leagues around Europe.
Right. Got you.
But certainly they're the only ones that can go straight in if they win the league. But I think it's dependent on what happens elsewhere too. I think.
You mentioned Araujo earlier on and that tackle, which there was great debate about it. This was what Martin O'Neill said afterwards.
I haven't seen the challenge again. But have you seen it back? No, before he got the yellow card. Or was it not? It's not bordering on red or anything like that. No, he's got to learn. So I get concerned, when somebody stays down as well too, and so I think there was a feeling that the young lad was milking it, but it wasn't. He was limping, and he was limping afterwards. So yeah, that is a concern.
Barry, if you were on referee watch, what would you be saying on that one? No, seriously.
He's late.
Yeah.
It's not the worst I've seen.
Aye. Yeah.
But I've seen red cards given for it.
But we're glad they're not giving red cards for every single. I mean, it was late,
but
no question.
Martin's definitely
Yeah.
seen it. You've got iPads at the side of the. He would have had a wee gander. Aye, he would have seen it.
You chucking ice at Martin O'Neill again, which he did.
But he's very
years
clever.
ago. Yeah.
That's him just. Right, I'd never seen it. That's him just shutting it down straight away.
Martin
Which you would do.
Yeah. Martin was listening to him last week, probably around about this time as he was going to sign on the dotted. Mark 0808 17 17 700. Danny's on saying Kieran Bowie he thinks would be a good signing for Celtic. Do you think he will? Well, we don't know if he's going to come. And would it be 5-6 million?
Well, I think I can't imagine Hibs selling for any less than 5. Paul, he's a Scotland internationalist.
Yep.
He's got his best days ahead of him. I'm just not sure if he's ready. Because what you're going to find, if it's Celtic or if it's Rangers looking for a number 9 or whatever it may be, you've got to come in ready to go and do a job, Paul. You've got to come in with a really strong mentality to go and say, actually, I'm coming in to help this team win the league. I'm not coming in to find my feet and a wee bit of this. I'm actually coming in to go and get the goals. So you're right now, if you're Celtic or Rangers, I want to bring somebody in that's going to give me the best possible chance of scoring 12 goals in 17 or 18 league games. At least 12 goals. Big situations, being the man on the right spot with the right mentality to go and put it away, to go and slot it past Jack Butland or go and slot it past Kasper Schmeichel, whatever the case may be. I think Kieran Bowie eventually will end up at a bigger club. I'm just not sure that it's going to be in this window at that price.
Josh Mulligan's name has come up as well, Barry, different position, and I know that you really like him. Could you see him moving to Celtic?
He's got the ability to play there. There's no doubt about it. I said when Hibs made the signing in the summer, it could be one of the best signings in the Premier League, and he's proven that. There's no doubt. He can play. What I like about him is he can play in a number of positions. He can play right back, he can play as a wing back, he can play central midfield, and again he's one of the players that I think he could make a push to get into the Scotland squad for the World Cup. As I said, I think Hibs done a brilliant bit of business getting him in. I've always liked him. I says it last season, when you're sitting in a stand watching him, until you're close up in the touchline, that's when he stood out for me. Big, powerful, strong, a lot of good attributes. And I'm not surprised one single bit that he's done well for Hibs, and I'm not surprised that there's clubs that are interested in him.
Mark, of course, the countdown will be on. We're so taken up with what's happening in the league. But of course, 5 months tomorrow, we will be in Boston. Scotland in the World Cup kicks off. Yeah. Wow. Can you believe it? It's so soon.
Oh, yep. Yeah, Scotland, Haiti. Really exciting times. Paul, there's no doubt about that. I mean, we spoke about last week about Celtic and Rangers and the standards and how they've kind of, they've not hit the heights in Europe this season. But don't forget what our national team have done, what Steve Clarke and the squad have achieved. And like Barry says there, that I would imagine Steve will be fairly fixed in 20 odd players, but there'll be three or four that'll be up for grabs.
I see Scott McTominay played really well again.
I've seen it last night. His finish for his second goal.
Was it?
Listen, brilliant finish.
He scored the 2 goals, didn't he?
Yeah, do you know what? He's an absolute flames. He was last season, and he just doesn't know how to stop, does he? Yeah. Scoring goals. He's what a signing he's been for Napoli, and look at Manchester United.
Of course, exactly.
He's the player, or the profile of a player that they absolutely need 100%. That was, what a mistake that was. And what did they sign him for? Was it 25 million quid? An absolute snip. Yeah.
In the context of English and Italian football,
I just like him. Do you know what I like? I like when he's bursting forward. He's got. We all know he's got goals in his game, but he's improved so much under Conte as well. He's been a big help to him. Mark's
going to be we're watching all the time to see how the Scottish players play. What can you say about Scott McTominay? He's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been exceptional. He has. It's not been a one season flash in the pan. He's kicked on. He's doing really, really well. He's also got that vital opening goal for Scotland against Denmark at Hampden. a couple of months ago. So he's a top player, like Barry said, great finishes, but it's good. He's doing it. Barry's nephew Lewis doing it at Bologna. Lennon Miller now getting game time as well, helping Udinese. So like we said, there's plenty to be pleased about. There's plenty to be optimistic about, and the reason why I'm optimistic for the World Cup in the summer is, Paul, is that opening game against Haiti. You couldn't have asked for it better in terms of how the 3 games have come out. And I know that Haiti are trying to get a couple of players in, if you like, almost like international signings, which will obviously enhance their team. But Scotland have really got to hit the ground running. For me, no excuses for that game in Boston. Go and win it, and then go and kick on.
Noah's asking, what's the news on Lewis? How's he doing, Barry?
He's in and out of the team, but this manager likes to do that. He likes to change, because obviously they play a lot of games over there, similar to Scotland. They're in Europa League as well. So, yep, he's in and out, but it's no down to form, Paul. This is the way that this Italian manager likes to operate. He done it at his previous club, Fiorentina. And this is what he's doing at Bologna, because Bologna have got a pretty strong squad.
It's not your way of doing it, though, is it? You wouldn't.
Nah, I'll be honest, every manager and coach has got a certain way, but I think if you're doing well, keep with the same 11.
Craig Gordon, 43 years old, produced a wonderful save yesterday afternoon, which, it could have been a different today. At the top of the show, we wouldn't have been saying no change, we'd be saying Hearts drop points. At 43 years old, Mark, it is remarkable. So is he definitely one of your 3 keepers, or more importantly, Stevie Clarke's keepers for this summer?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Even if he only plays one more game to cover for the suspension, and that's a decision that Derek McInnes will have to make. I would just stick with him now. He's going to be on a high. You could see the reaction of the players. Another thing as well tells me, Derek, he obviously loves to win. He's a winner, but you look at his reaction. He was right on the pitch yesterday. No, we've never seen that yet from Derek. That was honestly, Paul, that could be, for me, I think we might be looking back come the May time and looking back as Hearts as champions and singling out that Dundee game. I'm not saying Craig Gordon will be the number 1, but Craig Gordon 100% will be on the plane to America.
Why would he not be the number 1 then? Who is better than?
Because Angus Gunn might get a move this window. He's on the bench at the moment. He might get a move. What I'm saying, the only doubt I would have is if Craig Gordon doesn't play another game. If Craig Gordon continues to play to the end of the season, there's no doubt he'll be the number 1. But if he goes there with only 3 or 4 games under his belt, that puts a wee bit of doubt in it. If Angus Gunn then kicks on, Liam Kelly, Jack Butland's in superb form. Doesn't look like Liam Kelly's going to get in. I can't imagine Liam Kelly being allowed to go out in loans. Ander Clark's going to shift clubs. I think he might be out.
He's at Doncaster.
Doncaster. So you look at it, it's pointing towards Craig Gordon or Angus Gunn. Right now, if Scotland were playing tomorrow, obviously go with Craig Gordon all day long.
Barry,
he's got his flight ticket and his room number already in the hotel. He's going. He has to go.
Has he got the jersey? If you were the manager,
well, this Hearts goalkeeper that gets sent off in yesterday's game, he'll be out for 3 games straight red. So the next 3 games, Craig Gordon's definitely going to play.
Takes you into February then.
Yep, and Derek's definitely a manager that'll go with who's playing well and form's good. Now, if Craig Gordon has 3 really good, solid games, I think Craig Gordon will remain in between the sticks.
Elsewhere in the squad, Kieran Tierney played really well at the weekend, didn't he? Enjoying life, I think, under Martin O'Neill, a couple of assists. John McGinn in England is doing absolutely brilliantly. We're just not seeing enough of the captain at the moment, Andy Robertson, because of obviously the signings at Liverpool. Mark, any thoughts?
Yeah, Andy Robertson will be fine. He'll be disappointed he's not playing as much as he would like, but he'll be tuned. You're going to put it this way: you're not going to get a tired Andy Robertson going to a World Cup. John McGinn, 2 outstanding goals against Nottingham Forest 8 or 9 days ago. Another good win for them. Captained the team to beat Spurs in the cup. And you're right, Paul. I like your point about Kieran Tierney. I think he's had a tough time. Some Celtic fans question him. Other people saying, he's not the Kieran Tierney of old. That may well be the case when he set such an incredibly high standard 5 or 6 years ago to get his £25 million move. But I look at his contribution this season, and for a lot of the times a struggling Celtic team, and his goals and his assists, He's making a proper contribution, make no mistake about that.
And his contribution for Scotland, Barry, we were all watching. We're in injury time and we're hoping at the best the playoffs. And suddenly Kieran Tierney cracks that goal from distance and it all changed.
He's such an important player.
Yeah.
That's right. He's maybe not the Kieran Tierney 2 or 3 years ago because he obviously the amount of injuries, but he's still a top player. And if he's fit, he's one of the first names in the team sheet for me.
Let's take a break, then we're back. Tomorrow evening on the programme, Paul Cooney. Tonight it's Barry Ferguson and Mark Whitty, as you'll see if you're on YouTube. And tomorrow night, Andy Walker will be here alongside James McPake, of course, who did such a great job. Well, especially probably at Dundee, who came close against Hearts yesterday. Into the final section now, looking forward to the games. Falkirk against Celtic on Wednesday night and Hearts against St Mirren. Barry, for St Mirren, as a West of Scotland station, I mean, they felt they should have beaten Hearts the last time in the fixture, I think, remember, at Paisley.
Yep.
And there was a VAR decision that went against them. This is going to be some game.
It will be, and I seen Stephen Robinson's interview after the game, and he wasn't a happy camper. No. Just obviously Falkirk deserved to win the game, but the last two performances, just not happy. He wants improvement. And I think you'll see an improvement in Wednesday night, but I just can't see past Hearts, obviously. I think they'll take so much confidence for that game in Sunday against Dundee, certainly in the second half, down to 10 men. Everybody expects them to lose the game or draw the game, but they showed an inner belief, showed a real togetherness. They defended the 18-yard box brilliantly. And no, I can't see past Hearts. I think Hearts will win that game by a couple of goals. Tynecastle, as well know, be sold out as well. The fans are they're getting to that stage where they're starting to think, well, this could be possible.
Yeah.
And it could be possible because they've done brilliantly. The manager's done brilliant. I keep going on, or people keep going on about they have some really good players, they made some really good signings, but it's clear to see the best signing was clearly the manager.
Sure was. What about St Mirren, Mark, your old club? It's been, this season will be remembered as winning the League Cup, but they'll need to watch that it was wrong end of the table, having 3 years in a running in the top 6.
Yeah, they're in danger of getting sucked in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think for a second that they're going to finish bottom, but there'll be a concern that they might end up getting dragged into the playoff spot. If Kilmarnock get their act together, excuse me, under Neil and Billy, although Kilmarnock face a really tough run of fixtures. But St Mirren to have only one 4 league games, Paul, out of 20 is quite surprising. You're expecting better from them, and Stephen Robinson will be demanding that from his players. But going to Tynecastle on Wednesday night, under the circumstances of Hearts' victory yesterday, St Mirren could not have a tougher game than what they face on Wednesday. And I think, again, given the circumstances of the win yesterday, Hearts will win the game comfortably on Wednesday at Tynecastle.
You're both going for Hearts then. We'll talk Falkirk Celtic in a few moments. Let's go back to yesterday. Danny Rohl speaking about Rangers' 2-0 win, so that's beating Aberdeen twice in a week. And what about the influence of the set-piece specialist that came in a few weeks ago, Scott Fry?
I think he worked well. Is a part of the coaching group. We have a great culture in our coaching group. We should not forget there's more than just me or Scott. Also other guys. On this point, also thank you to Kevin. Kevin was also helpful to get this transfer done. This is a big respect to him as well. I had a good talk with Scott. I felt straight that there's just more than the content. There's also human. And I said this always to my coaches: if we have a good communication, a good relationship, and a good atmosphere on our table on the coaching, then we are the mirror for the group. And I think this is at the moment where we see.
It's an important position, Barry, isn't it? We see it a lot in England, becoming more the set-piece specialist in Scotland. Yeah,
and a lot of games are won and lost by set pieces, no doubt about it. Rangers have certainly improved in that side of things. And I know myself, but in the period of time we were in last year, we worked on set pieces quite a lot after training for about 15-20 minutes after every single session. So I know how important that is. And Rangers are a real threat now from corner kicks and free kicks round about the 18-yard box. Every time they have one, I've got a feeling that there's a real potential for them to score. And if you go back a year ago, Rangers really struggled at set pieces. So it's an important part of the game, and it's really important that you work on them. And it's clear that Rangers are working on them.
And what about the man who was your captain, Barry? You kept him. Some people said you should make a change. James Tavernier scoring yesterday again. His 90th league goal for Rangers.
Yeah, no doubts about it when he put the ball in the penalty spot. Listen, he's missed a few over the years, but I would always, if I was a betting man, I would always put my money on Tav scoring. You know what you're getting from him. I can't speak highly enough of him. I know he's getting on a bit, but see if you strip it back and you actually look, what a signing he has been for Rangers. And I said it before I took the job. I didn't know him personally. But see, when I actually sat down with him, it took me only a couple of minutes to understand. He understands what it means to play with Rangers. He's privileged to do it. And you know what? It was an absolute joy to work with.
Even when he was dropped, earlier in the season, in fact, recently as well.
He never spat the dummy out. Never. And notice that it's easy for players to walk about with a petit lip. And I knew for a fact he'd be raging. He wouldn't be happy. But I tell you something, his attitude on the training field would still be the same if he was playing week in, week out. And that's the reason why he found a way back into the team.
Is he going to lift the title again for the second time in his career?
I'll say what I said to you a few weeks ago. It's doable. Real doable.
Mark, on James Tavernier, Rangers' chances. I know at the moment you're saying Hearts, they're in the pole position. It's fascinating. The manager was asked yesterday, what about objects being thrown from the Aberdeen fans after Rangers scored?
I think general, a tough place to go. I heard a lot about this place. But for me it was about the right answer. We scored 2 times, we won 3 points, we go home, we celebrate, that's it.
Well handled, Mark, would you say? Just stuck to the football?
Yeah, but I think Danny Rohl's been really good at that. Like you said, he's not looking to play to the gallery. he is looking about doing what's best to get his football team to win games and put them in a strong position, and he has managed to do that. When you think about it, before he arrived, Rangers was a bit of a circus in terms of everything that was going on with Russell Martin, the fan protests, Kevin Thelwell. It was every other day a video was appearing of Patrick Stewart or Kevin Thelwell being confronted by angry supporters who were at the end of their tether, and you can understand why. Now Danny Rohl has come in, was allowed to go on with his business quietly, so he had a nice wee period of time where focus was on Hearts. They drew a few games, and all of a sudden Derek was having to answer things. He then had the Wilfred Nancy circus come in, and then Danny Rohl was just allowed to go on with his business and has come through a comprehensive defeat at Tynecastle, but bounced back to go and win 5 games in a row, including a victory at Celtic Park 8 or 9 days ago. So they're heading in the right direction. It's very much up for grabs, Paul. Genuinely, you could put the Hearts, Rangers and Celtic in a hat and pick one out just now. Right now,
on you go.
I know it's easy to say because Hearts are top of the table, and I've got that, potentially that 6-point lead if they win their game in hand over Rangers. But I genuinely believe Hearts will take a bit of stop. I think that is a really, really good gap.
Last
that they've
30
got at the moment.
seconds. Falkirk against Celtic then, Barry. What do you reckon?
I don't think it's going to be easy for Celtic, but I think, again, the Martin O'Neill effect, confidence, you heard some of the players speak after it, back to basics. Yeah, I think Celtic will win the game. I'll go Falkirk 1, Celtic 3.
Mark?
I think it'll be a nail-biter. I think Celtic will win 1-0 with a late goal.
Thanks so much to both of you and everyone who called in tonight and all the comments. Despite it, we'll be back tomorrow night at 5. Have a great night.